Welcome to the very first installment of many installments of the Fantasy First Aid. I am your host, the Tutor. I have been playing Money Lead Fantasy for many years, and I have now decided to take my ideas and my strategies and put them on the World Wide Web for everybody to see. With one day, hopefully, I can land a job as a fantasy expert for a major network or a major newspaper. But it all starts here. As we're heading on to our fantasy football draft this year, you know, there's some things I want you to remember. And those things are that first round players do not win your leagues. So whenever you are studying, let's not worry about who you're going to get in the first round. That should be a moot point. What I want you to worry about is who are you going to get in the late round? Late round steals, your sleepers. Who are you going to get? What guy is going to come out of nowhere and help lead your team to a championship? Last year, those guys would have been Sidney Rice, Mendenhall, guys like Miles Austin. Those are the guys that won the fantasy football league last year. Then you have injuries. Injuries will kill a guy's team. But there are ways to working around injuries, and I'll give you some strategies of those in a few minutes. You need to watch all the games. Just don't be watching your favorite teams. If you're going to become a very good fantasy football player, you need to have Red Zone, NFL Network. You need to go to the bars and watch 10 games on the screens. You cannot be a good fantasy football player by just looking at stats every Sunday on a game cast. You need to see what players look good on their team. You need to see what players are being targeted. You need to see what offenses look good, what offenses don't look good. You need to see injuries as they happen. So I advise you to watch all the games. And be active on the waiver wire. Be active on the waiver wire. Take chances. Drop guys. Pick guys up. Play matchups. You can't just win a league by standing pat. You have to make some moves, and you have to make some trades, and you got to pick some free agents up. You got to drop some guys you don't really want to drop. That's how you win fantasy football leagues. And by following all these rules. Rule number one: you need to not get silly in the first round. Okay, like I said before, don't even study. Don't even study. Stick to the best player available formula. You know, you're going to be happy with Frank Gore. You're going to be happy with Aaron Rodgers. You're going to be happy with Andy Johnson. It doesn't matter. You just take the best player that is available at that time. This is first round is not where you win your leagues. So do not be the guy who drafts Ryan Matthews or Sean Green in the first round. Don't be that guy. Somebody is going to do it. Trust me. But don't be that guy. They do not have first round caliber. Here's just a little chart of as of now universal first round. These are guys that you should be happy with if you get them in the first round. Obviously, you have your two studs in Chris Johnson and Adrian Peterson. You have your Ray Rice and Jones Drew. You have your first quarterback that's probably going to be taken in Drew Brees. First receiver that's probably going to be taken in Andre Johnson. You got a couple more running backs in Turner, Jackson, and Gore. Your next receiver, Fitzgerald, Mendenhall, and your second quarterback that will probably be taken is Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, this is subject to change, but this is your universal first round. So if you have a draft coming up, these are guys that you're going to be happy with in the first round. Rule 2: take chances later in the draft. This is my sleeper cue right here. You need to take chances to win leads. Once you have your starting lineup filled and you have your important handcuff, start gaming for keepers. It's easier, and the reason why, because it's easier to drop these players if they aren't panning out. You don't say to yourself, "Oh well, they'll pick it up eventually." No. You drop them quick. The guys that you say, "Oh well, they'll pick it eventually," are the guys like Terrell Owens or Clinton Porter or who's having 3 straight bad weeks, and you're scared to drop them because in the past they've had good seasons. Well, sleepers aren't like that. They've never had a pass before. So if they're doing bad, they're not playing good at all. It's just so much easier to just drop them and pick somebody else up. 3, do not be the guy that starts the quarterback carousel. Do not be that guy. And I call this the Tom Brady rule. And it's very simple. couple years ago. Tom Brady coming off just a miraculous, unbelievable fantasy football season. He was a first round pick in many, many leagues. And what happened? He went down. So what did you see? You see a lot of guys lose their first round pick and their starting quarterback in one play. And that spells trouble. That spells trouble. Um, you'll still, even if you're not starting it, even if you don't get the Drew Brees or the Aaron Rodgers, you'll still be able to get a good quarterback in the second, third, and fourth round. So I wouldn't sweat it. I wouldn't sweat it. Uh, if for somehow Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers slip into the second round, then you know what? I'm not going to blame you. Go for it. Go for it. But you do not need your first round pick being a quarterback. It just smells like trouble if he were to get hurt. 4. Here's your running back handcuff strategy. Uh, Most leagues you get 5 running backs. You probably can start 3 of them. So you need to handcuff your best 2 running backs. So you need to have 3 guys that start, and then your other 2 running backs need to be handcuffed to your best 2 running backs. And the reason for that is if any 2 of your 3 starters get hurt, at least you'll still have starting running back. At least you still have 3 running backs on your team that are starting. And this is where leagues are won. I was in a couple leagues last year that whoever had Mendenhall went deep into the playoffs because they had a guy who wasn't doing anything, and all of a sudden he got the job and he just rolled with it. So if you have, and I don't care how bad that player is, I don't care if you think that player is fantasy irrelevant. You need to back your starters up. You know, it's pained me. It pained me to see that people do not take on this strategy. Just like the quarterbacks, I wouldn't start the tight end carousel either. Too often than not, you see guys like Dallas Clark go earlier than he should go because people want to have a stud tight end. There are 10 tight ends in the league that are worth being your number 1 tight end on your fantasy football team. So wait it out, get some other good players, and then pick a tight end that's available. The best tight end that's available, he's still going to be just fine. Just like Kellen Winslow last year. Kellen Winslow was not top 10 going in the season, and he had a surefire good season. And if you can, in 2 straight picks, draft 2 good tight ends in a row. Tight ends often more than not, they get hurt, they get banged up. You know, they have good weeks, they have bad weeks. So this is a good position where you can play matchups. And if you have 2 good tight ends, you won't feel bad about sitting one of them. And also, some leagues might have flex players, and you might have the opportunity to start both of your tight ends in the same week. And that's especially good strategy if you have in a reception league. Kickers and defense. So all I'm going to say here is that your last 3 picks in the draft needs to be 2 defensive teams and 1 kicker. Those should be your last 3. That's all I'm going to say. And make sure that your defense has a different bye week, and that's all I'm really going to say. If you have to draft a defense, then I would, those are the picks right there. Jets 10th, Vikings 11th, those other 3 teams in the 12th. No other defense is worth being drafted earlier. Okay? And if you're trying to say to me right now, well, you can't just have 1 kicker on your team. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. All you have to do is drop your kicker on his bye week and pick him right back up the next week. That's all you have to do. You only need 1 kicker on your team. High kicks. Here's a phrase some of you may not have heard. High kick. This is when you have a stud quarterback, stud receiver from the same team. Because a great tandem will win you a lot of weeks. You have a receiver that scores 2 touchdowns in 1 game. Guess what? That means your quarterback did too. You got all those yards. You got all those receptions, and even bonuses if your lead has bonuses. And if you have a stud receiver, more likely than not, he's going to have many of those games. He's going to score touchdowns in more games than he's not. So, but let's not get too overboard with it. Sanchez at home, that's not a high kick. I mean, they will hook up a few times, but that's just not a hot tandem that you really want to have. You need to look at your top 10 quarterbacks and see if they have top 10 receivers on their team. Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson, that's not a great tandem. Um, you got a guy like Peyton Manning and Reggie Wayne, Tom Brady, Randy Moss, Aaron Rodgers, Greg Jennings. Those are guys. Those are high kicks. Those are guys that will help you win fantasy football leagues. So what do you study? Now, I just gave you some strategies. What do you study? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Do not buy a magazine. Do not buy kits online. Why would you pay more to study than your entry fee is? That makes no sense to me. Just use the internet. Use the internet. Go to various sites. Look at mock drafts. Participate in some mock draft. I know some people don't take those mock drafts seriously, but you might get caught in a room where, there's some people are being serious, and you get a really good idea for the first 2 or 3 rounds where guys are going. That that's all I gotta say about that. You do not need to buy magazines. You do not need to buy kits online. Watch your preseason game, listen to my YouTube, and go on the internet and do some researching. Do not spend any money. And one few last thing. Do not study. Do not brag. Do not ask questions. Do not research. Don't look at my YouTube. Don't go on ESPN message board and brag about your fantasy football team being the best there ever is if you aren't paying any money to be in it. That's just stupid. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. If you aren't paying money, your league is a joke. Alright, look for my draft special. It will arrive sometime later this month. After I see some preseason games, after I see some injuries, I'm going to have one list for each position of how I would rank the players. And if you can't wait that long, you got a draft coming up soon, you have an instant question, shoot me. Shoot me an email, fantasyfirstaid@hotmail.com. This has been The Tutor, signing out.